What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and our 2022 predictions continue with the Michigan Wolverines. Just did Ohio State yesterday. If you missed that video, go back and watch that one as we move on through. This is only the fourth team, so we're just getting started really here with these predictions. Michigan, of course, coming off of a big year last year, making it to the college football playoff, something that really no one saw coming. Here are some of the predictions for Michigan heading into 2022. The FBI has them at 9.5 and 2.6, only about a 10% chance to win the East, even though this is the team that won the East last year, the defending champs. Athlon has them at 10 and 2. The over-under is at 9.5, and I feel like most people are putting this team right there with Athlon around 10 and 2, or maybe 9 and 3. You have some that maybe think they could go 11 and 1. And, they have a decent chance if they go 11 and 1 to possibly make the college football playoff without even going to the Big Ten championship, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But these are some of the predictions. So, yes, everyone right there, 9 and 3, 10 and 2 seems to be the consensus here for Michigan. Here's the schedule. Not very tough. Let's just be honest. They got a very good draw this year. The non-conference schedule is about as weak as it gets with Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn. And then you look at who they play out of the West. They get Nebraska at home. They have Illinois, who also will be a home game. Then they do have the one tough game on the road at Iowa. So only one real challenge on the road, really, in the entire schedule outside of Ohio State. Because you look at the other big games, Penn State's at home, Michigan State's at home. Really, really favorable schedule for Michigan this year. And I think with those first three games, they start off with pretty easy wins. I think they will start off 3-0. When you look at this Michigan team, I think this offense has a chance to be the best offense that they've had under Jim Harbaugh. I feel pretty confident in saying that, especially if J.J. McCarthy winds up taking over at quarterback. Just what he is going to bring to this offense and the weapons that they have, a strong offensive line, going to be a really good offense. Yes, they lost some really key pieces on defense, but overall, I expect them to be okay on that side of the ball. I don't think they're going to drop off too much. I do believe Michigan is going to be one of the better teams in the country this year. Maryland going to be a fun game. I think that'll be a shootout. They also will have a high-powered offense. But in the big house, it's hard to pick against Michigan, a game that maybe stays close for a while, but I think the Wolverines will pull away. They'll make some big plays, and they will start off the season 4-0. Next comes Iowa on the road. Tough place to play. Look, I know last year, you go back to that game, Michigan really didn't have any problems with Iowa. And I'm not real high on Iowa. I don't think Iowa is going to be a top 15 team this year, but that is a very tough place to play. Pretty good chance this is a night game. And again, it's just a tough environment. And Iowa every year seems to go out and play just the game of their life one time out of the year. It seems like every year they have that one game where they look like a top 5 team. And I think this is that game. I think they will be really focused in on this one. Home game, getting revenge from last year's Big Ten championship game. I'm going to say Iowa pulls off the upset. I think Michigan loses this game. And again, I say this every year. Don't get too hung up on who I have teams beating and losing to. It's really all about the record. Could definitely change some things around. But this just kind of seems like one of those games that they could lose. So I'm going to say they lose to Iowa, and that knocks them down to 4-1. They play Indiana the next week, another road game. You have to wonder, will they be hung over a little bit after that loss? Will that kind of hurt them going into this Indiana game? Maybe they start off slow on the road against an improved Indiana team from last year, but I think they overcome that slow start. I think they win this game. They pull away in the second half, and they improve to 5-1. Up next is Penn State. This will be a home game for Michigan. I'm not all that high on Penn State. Some people think they might be a team that can contend in the East. I don't really feel that way. I think Michigan playing at home will really not have too much trouble in this game. I think they win fairly easily. Not a blowout, but I don't think that this is a game that you're halfway through the fourth quarter wondering who's going to win. I think we'll know by then, Michigan's going to take care of business. They're going to win this game at home, and I have them improving to 6-1. They get a bye week at a really nice time after a little bit of a stretch there. Iowa, Indiana, Penn State. 2 of those games coming on the road, and then against a tough opponent in Penn State. Then they get that bye week before playing Michigan State in the rivalry game. Last year, of course, Michigan State won, but if you really go back to that game last year, Michigan Michigan looked like the better team. Let's just be honest. Michigan State was very fortunate to win that game. Now it's a home game for Michigan. It's a rivalry game. It's a revenge game. A lot going for Michigan. But I tell you what, this Michigan State team, I expect to fight in this game. I think it'll be a close game. I think it will be a really good game, a great rivalry game. But at the end of the day, I think that Michigan offense makes enough plays to where they can find a way to get it done. They beat Michigan State, get a big win over their rival, and improve to 7-1. After that, they'll play Rutgers on the road. Not really concerned with this game. Not expecting Rutgers to be very good this year. I know they've been a little better the last couple of years. I don't really see them making another leap forward this year. I think they're still kind of stuck there towards the bottom of the Big Ten. Even though it's on the road, I think Michigan will win and improve to 8-1. After that, it's Nebraska. This is going to be a big game. I think this will be I think Nebraska is going to have a really good year. I'm not going to go too far with that, but I think they will be a good team. Last year, of course, losing all those close games, including the game against Michigan, and this time it's at Nebraska. I think this is a hard fought. Oh, excuse me, no, this game is at Michigan. Look at the schedule on there. That last year at Nebraska, they took Michigan into the fourth quarter. This year at Michigan, that might be the difference. That might be the difference in this one. Michigan playing at home. It's a game that I do expect to be very close, but I do like the Wolverines to win it by a slim margin. I think it's a great game, close game, similar to last year. Michigan, though, will get it done. They beat Nebraska. Then they'll play Illinois. You know, this is a spot for a trap game potentially after a big game against Nebraska. You got Ohio State coming up the next week. I just don't think Illinois is going to have enough. It's just not a team that I think is going to threaten any of the top teams in the Big Ten, like Ohio State and Michigan. You know, maybe Michigan's a little slow to start, but I think they take care of business and they win this game easily. They improved to 10-1 before the game against Ohio State, playing them on the road. I said this in the Ohio State video. I'm expecting a shootout. I think this game will be close. I think it'll be back and forth. But I look at the fact that Ohio State's playing at home. I think they have a little bit more firepower on offense than Michigan. Yes, Michigan's offense is going to be good, but Ohio State's is maybe going to be the best in the country. And I think that firepower is going to pay off for Ohio State playing at home. Revenge factor there for them as well. Michigan's offense probably makes a couple of mistakes in this game where Ohio State maybe doesn't. Buckeyes win in a close one, an all-time great in this rivalry. I do not expect Ohio State to run away with it. I think it will be a close game, but I do think Ohio State will win. They will give Michigan their second loss of the season, and they will knock them down to 10-2. So 10-2 for Michigan. That's my prediction. Back to their playoff chances, though. If they beat Iowa, and let's change it. Let's say they beat Iowa and lose to Michigan State. 10-2 is the record, however it comes. But if they win all these other games, they beat Iowa, they do beat Michigan State, Penn State win all these games, and their only loss comes to Ohio State, they'll be 11-1. They probably won't go to the Big Ten Championship, assuming Ohio State's there with one loss or maybe even undefeated. But there is a real path for Michigan to get to the college football playoff at 11-1. You know, they went last year. That I think will help them out a little bit, help out the credibility for this team. And they would only have one loss to potentially a top 3 team in Ohio State. The problem is the schedule, and that could hurt them because they don't have a very strong schedule. I don't think they would get in over another one-loss team, especially a conference champion. But let's say the other conferences kind of beat up on each other, and there isn't a one-loss conference champion for that 4th spot. Michigan could sneak in there, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. I think this team is capable of going 11-1. I really don't see them losing more than 2 games, though. I think 10-2. It's 10-2 or 11-1 for me. I'm very high on this Michigan team because of what they have coming back on offense. I think they will have a great year. Not quite a playoff year, but still a very strong year there at 10-2.